They went to serve a warrant and walked into an ambush. This morning, 3 police officers are dead in Pennsylvania. Plus, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, afraid he'd be shot by the cops. The unusual terms of his gentle surrender. And Jimmy Kimmel, no longer live, suspended after a monologue on MAGA and murder. Why ABC suddenly pulled the plug. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. We begin this morning in Pennsylvania, where 3 police officers are dead, 2 others wounded, after a deadly shootout in rural York County near Harrisburg. Authorities say the suspect was also killed, shot by police as officers tried to serve a warrant Wednesday afternoon. State Police Commissioner Colonel Christopher Paris says they were following up on a domestic violence investigation that began a day earlier. The 2 surviving officers were listed in critical but stable condition. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro called for action to address the root causes of these kinds of tragedies.
This kind of violence isn't okay. We need to do better as a society. We need to help the people who think that picking up a gun, picking up a weapon is the answer to resolving disputes. We need to do better when it comes to mental health. We need to do better when it comes to looking out for those who are in need so we don't have to deal with tragedies like this. We got to do better as a society.
Shapiro said U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi personally called him after the shooting. Both the FBI and the ATF are now on the ground to support the investigation. Last night, law enforcement and emergency vehicles drove through the streets lined with community members honoring the fallen officers. We are learning new details about the man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk, including the unusual terms he demanded before surrendering to police in Utah. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson agreed to turn himself in, but only if the arrest was peaceful. Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby says he got a call from a retired detective Thursday, the night after the shooting, saying Robinson was ready to surrender, but he feared being killed by a SWAT team.
He knew he was going to get caught. He didn't want a big SWAT team hitting his parents' house or his apartment. He was truly fearful of being shot by law enforcement. So that the conditions were as relaxed and comfortable and almost to the point of, inviting.
The sheriff says late Thursday night, Robinson was driven to the station by his parents and the retired detective who knew the family through a religious group. Detectives in plain clothes met him outside and escorted him into a secure interview room to await the arrival of state and federal agents early Friday morning. The sheriff credits his former colleague for diffusing a potentially dangerous situation through community ties and trust. Robinson is charged with aggravated murder, obstruction, witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in front of a child. And this is making the rounds big time this morning. ABC has pulled the plug on Jimmy Kimmel, taking his late-night show off the air indefinitely over comments he made about the murder of Charlie Kirk, which sparked furious backlash. It started Monday when Kimmel accused, quote, the MAGA gang of trying to score political points off Kirk's assassination and implied the shooter was one of them. The comments triggered outrage on the right and action. FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatened regulatory pushback against ABC, calling Kimmel's remarks part of a, quote, concerted lie. Then Nexstar, one of the largest owners of ABC affiliates, announced it would preempt the Jimmy Kimmel show starting that night. Disney followed suit, yanking Kimmel's show off the air for the foreseeable future. Kimmel was spotted leaving his theater Wednesday with his head down, wearing a black hat and plaid shirt. As protesters gathered outside, including one woman in a Statue of Liberty crown holding a broken heart sign right there. Meanwhile, from Windsor Castle, President Trump celebrated the news on Truth Social, posting, "Great news for America. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done." Democrats slammed the move as censorship. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer told CNN, quote, Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down a speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. But conservatives call it accountability. So far, no comment from Kimmel and no word on what will replace him in that time slot. Mahmoud Khalil, the former Columbia University grad student who became a lightning rod over pro-Palestinian protests on campus, is now one step closer to being deported. A U.S. immigration judge ordered Khalil removed to either Algeria or his native Syria, ruling he omitted information on his green card application. The judge found Khalil failed to disclose an internship with the UN Relief and Works Agency and didn't mention his role in Apartheid Divest, an anti-Israel group at Columbia. Immigration officials arrested Khalil in March at his apartment in Manhattan. While he has legal permanent residency, the government argues his omissions raise national security and foreign policy concerns. A federal judge previously ruled Khalil wasn't a flight risk or a danger to the public and released him from detention in June. His lawyers say they plan to fight the ruling at the Board of Immigration Appeals. The FBI director was in the hot seat on Capitol Hill again on Wednesday, pressed by lawmakers about his handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files and his loyalty to President Trump. Kash Patel faced 5 hours of bruising testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, a day after fiery clashes in the Senate. Much of the hearing centered on Epstein and whether the FBI is withholding documents to protect powerful people, including President Trump.
The important position at the FBI requires a leader who puts public safety and national security and the rule of law first. I'm afraid, Director Patel, you've given us reason to believe you've used the powers of the FBI to serve Donald Trump and his agenda of partisan retribution. You've broken your promise not to do that. You've betrayed Jeffrey Epstein's victims and survivors. You've turned your back on the career law enforcement officers of the FBI. And as a result, you've left all of us less safe than before.
The questioning intensified over a 2003 birthday message allegedly written by Trump to Epstein. The White House says it's a fake. But Democrats pressed Patel over whether he told Attorney General Pam Bondi the president's name appears in the Epstein files. Watch.
Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's
It's a simple question.
file.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the president's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The question has been asked and answered.
You have not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt.
Patel pushed back, saying the FBI has released all credible material and insisted the remaining files are sealed by a court order. At one point, he agreed to investigate Epstein's estate over what Trump claims is a forged letter. First, it was the woolly mammoth, then the dire wolf, and now the dodo. Scientists say they're one big step closer to bringing the iconic flightless bird back from extinction. The biotech company Colossal Biosciences announced a breakthrough on Wednesday. For the first time ever, scientists successfully grew primordial germ cells from pigeons, a key building block on the road to resurrecting the dodo bird, which was actually a type of oversized pigeon. The company has also created gene-edited chickens to act as future surrogate mothers for the dodo, proving once again that science is wild. But don't expect to spot one at a zoo just yet. Scientists say it could take 5 to 7 years before a newly hatched dodo walks the earth for the first time in over 3 centuries. How about that? Did you know that when I was a kid, if you were called a dodo bird, that was an insult. It really was. It was like you were forgetful, and they'd say, "You dodo bird." You were forgetful or even a bit dumb. Now these days, if you called somebody a dodo bird, that insult would be rated G. I mean, all you have to do is turn on cable TV and you see that they call each other far worse. Anyways, that's a walk back in time, if you will. All right, before we head out, here's what we're tracking today. This morning, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser testifies to Congress for the first time since President Trump's crackdown on crime in the nation's capital began. Also at 10, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s new hand-picked vaccine panel meets in Atlanta to weigh changes to immunization guidelines for children. At noon, Freddie Mac releases new data on mortgage rates as housing affordability continues to be a key issue. And tonight, a candlelight vigil in Colorado, hosted by Turning Point USA on what was supposed to be the next stop on Charlie Kirk's tour. Coffee for your brain, news for your day. Sign up for the Unbiased Updates newsletter straight to your inbox each morning. Go to san.com/newsletters. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Friday. We love that. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.